We are live, brother.
Folks, what is up? And welcome to the Vol Talk podcast. That is my brother Austin. I am Blake. And on this unscripted podcast, we talk all things volunteer sports. But today, folks, it is all about being in the win column in the swamp once again. Austin, after 22 years, brother, and a 10-game losing streak. Uh, we have won in the swamp once again. Huge win, brother, for these Vols. 31-11, largest margin of victory, or tied the largest margin of victory, Austin. Back in 1955, we won 20-0, and that was our largest margin of victory. So we tied that. And man, it's our sixth win ever in the swamp, Austin.
Yes.
And it was the last game in the yearly rivalry. The rivalry will live on, but it was the last game in the yearly rivalry with Florida. And we went out with a bang, brother. We went out with Joey Aguilar leading the band in Rocky Top. Not a bad way to end that yearly rivalry, Austin, and it feels pretty good, brother.
It's a big one, man. This one means a lot. And we'll get into some of the reasons why it means so much to so many people and what this game used to mean and what was on the line. But Blake, this one means a lot, dude. This is one of Heupel's best wins at Tennessee, in my opinion. I mean, this was huge. And listen, I know Florida has 3 wins, but Florida fans know. Florida fans know. Florida fans don't have to be told that this game means something. And they know that they have got over on Tennessee's a lot of years that they shouldn't have. And I mean, we talked about that, Blake. I mean, there was Florida won 4 games back during the Butch Jones era. We were one of their wins in the swamp, and that we just could never get over on them in the swamp, dude, ever. Last time, like you said, we beat them was 2003. I was alive, but I don't remember it. I'll say that. I was alive, but don't remember it because that's how long it's been, man. It's such a big win. And Blake, one of the things I've been talking about this year is this season is missing a marquee moment, a marquee wins, a memorable, like a memorable thing that we'll look back on and say, wow, this is what the 2025 Tennessee volunteer football team did. And this is the moment. This is the moment. Aguilar in the band, leading the band. Like this is that moment, dude. So it was an incredible victory.
Absolutely massive, like you said. We're going to get into all that. We're going to talk about what this rivalry meant, what the history and the legacy behind the rivalry, and what this win means for Josh Heupel, for Joey Aguilar, for these Vols in general. To win in the swamp. It's not that Florida's a good team this year, Austin, but it's a big victory for all of the reasons we just talked about, and we're going to talk about more of those reasons and why it's absolutely massive. And even old Tim Banks, Austin, he came through. He did not get himself fired in our minds, at least, like we talked about in the preview. So we're going to get into all that, folks. We're going to review the game and talk about how the game went. And then again, the legacy of the game and what it means for Heupel and Joey. And then, of course, Austin, we have to talk. We would be remiss if we didn't talk about Nico and how it's going over there at UCLA, brother. Because while we're getting tying our largest margin of victory ever in the swamp, Nico is he's getting swamped in the backfield,
Yeah.
so to speak. So.
Yeah, I asked for that one to be on the docket today, Blake. I think we're long overdue for a little discussion about how their season's going because we had some UCLA fans chirping after that 3-game winning streak, and I think we know now that was an anomaly. So we'll go over it later.
Indeed, they got the interim coach bump for sure, but it has not gone their way since then. And it did not go their way last night. So we got to check in on that for a little bit of fun because, man, this episode is going to be all about fun, baby. And it feels good to be back in the win column in the swamp. So, Austin, with that being said, look, folks, it's game time. It's big time right now on Rocky Top because we won down there in Gainesville. So, look, if you're feeling in a celebratory mood, drop us a like here on the Vol Talk podcast. On this video, drop us a subscribe if you haven't already. And then, most importantly, join the conversation. Jump in the chat and let us know what your favorite moment was from this big win down in Gainesville. And then, if you're watching after the fact, this is a live stream. So if you're watching after the fact, or if you're listening on Spotify, again, drop us in the comments. Let us know what your favorite moment was from the game last night and how you're feeling about this win. So, Austin, without further ado, let's jump into it, man, because I'm excited to get into this game review. Man, look, so I told you, for most of the folks who are listening, they know that I'm unfortunately not in the country right now, and I don't have great access to be able to watch the games live. I watch it after the fact when I can access it. But last night, Austin, I was able to find me a little stream listening to none other than the Florida radio cast
Incredible.
of the game.
Incredible.
And brother, honestly, that was actually maybe the most entertaining thing I could have gotten on, because they were down bad, brother. Talk us through this game, and especially this first half. We absolutely swamped them.
Well, I mean, going back to you listening to the Florida game cast, I mean, if you want to know how the first half went, all I know is you texted me at some point and said the Florida game cast is just begging for a first down. That's how the first half
Exactly.
was going, dude. So a lot of the times as Vols fans, you all should know this, that we watch games and it just feels like everything's bouncing the other direction, especially this year, Blake. Hasn't it felt like this year? So
Yes.
many moments this season that the ball bounces towards the other team some way, somehow, whether it's through penalties, us shooting ourselves in the foot, the other team making incredible plays. Well, in the first half, dude, it felt like it was just like complete like karma in a good way for us, that everything was going our way, man. Penalties were going our way. Florida was shooting themselves in the foots at times. We were actually making plays. Like, it actually felt like for the first time this season, and maybe the first time, one of the first times since being a Tennessee fan, Blake, since I was born, that I felt like, wow, things are actually going Tennessee's way, dude. On top of us just clearly being the better team, the biggest takeaway right off the jump, Blake, this was a physical game, man. I mean, this is the kind of game that would have made Phil Former proud. Like, if Phil Former was watching, which I'm sure he was, you got to think he was proud of this performance, man. It felt like a throwback to the 90s, how
Yep.
Tennessee played in the 90s,
Yes.
dude. Especially when they didn't have Peyton at quarterback. It was a lot of running the ball, trying to control the clock, and play good defense. And, dude, just right from the jump, we dominated the line of scrimmage. Dominated. I haven't seen our offensive line get movement like that in the run game in quite some time. Dude. It was incredible performance by them in the first half and really throughout the game. But and then defensively, dude, I mean, I was telling you, it's the most big hits I've seen from a Tennessee defense. I mean, since the Eric Berry days, dude. I can't remember the last time I've seen a Tennessee defense flying around like that they did last night. Just multiple huge hits on the quarterback. It was a throwback kind of game, man. It was fun to watch.
It feels good, brother. You know I love that smash mouth style of football. Slam it in their face on the ground in the run game on offense, and just especially on defense, man. Absolutely put them in the dirt, and we were putting them in the dirt all night long. I mentioned at the top of the show that, hey, in the preview we talked about, we were honest. We were like, hey, look, Florida is the worst offense in the SEC in most ways. I think statistically they're towards the bottom in almost everything. And Lagway is a turnover machine, all of that. And so it's like, man, if Tim Banks finds a way
Yes.
to flub this,
Yeah.
then that you can't, defend it anymore. But and look, we want, and we're going to talk more later, especially about Heupel. We want to dominate teams. We want this coaching staff to succeed, and so I love to see the
Yeah.
defensive performance that we had last night, man.
Speaking of being due, right? I was talking earlier how it felt like everything was going our way. Also, I don't know if you remember a couple weeks ago, I was saying, man, aren't we due for like a 2022 LSU type game? Like, we haven't had a dominating performance like that in a long time. I can't even really think of one last year either, Blake. Like, there was really never a start to finish dominating performance. Maybe Oklahoma, but even Oklahoma, we started to slip at the end a little bit last year. This was just, I mean, especially in the first half. I mean, the first half, dude, it literally could not have gone better. We start our first 4 drives scoring touchdowns and 5 stops in a row. When's the last time this defense has gotten
Yep.
5 stops in a row, man? And listen, that was a big part of our preview, man. It was like, look at this Florida offense, how much they've been struggling. Like, they just put up 7 against Kentucky, which, by the way, if you kept up with college football this weekend, Blake, Vandy put up 45 on that same defense. So it's like this Florida offense, whether statistically they're the worst overall in the year, the last couple of weeks, they've been the worst. And there's no doubt about it. They have been the worst the last couple of weeks. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case on the year either. And Lagway had been a turnover machine. Funny enough, in this game, we didn't even do it through turnovers. There was 0 turnovers on both sides of the ball. And it was just Lagway was just completely pedestrian, just couldn't push the ball downfield at all. And yeah, I mean, you do have to give Tim Banks credit, Blake. We've been extremely critical of him the last few weeks. But we said it's like we have been a get right for everyone. Every bad offense that we've played, whether it's
Yep.
Kentucky, New Mexico State, which are 2 awful offenses, by the way, awful. And they both got right against us. But Florida was finally the team that didn't, which if you told me that, I just wouldn't have believed you, man. It's in the swamp. Like, and it just always feels like they bring it, they bring their A game. But Blake, you texted me last night. It's like, dude, this whether it's been overall or if it's just within the Florida game, this is the most I've seen a hypo coach team be pumped up for this game in particular, Blake. This game in particular, because even the ones that we won, dude,
Yes.
are like OT win last year against a really bad Florida team. I don't love it. And then in 2022, if you remember, Blake, they had a chance to win on a Hail Mary
Yes.
at the end of the game. They had a chance to win with Anthony Richardson, which, by the way, if y'all don't remember AR, massive arm. Like, he could have gotten it anywhere on the field. So this year, man, which I'm proud, man. Like, I feel like Heupel's back was against the wall. And finally, dude, they came out with fire and they felt like, listen, this game means something. Whether we're going to the playoff or not, this game means something.
And that is, to me, the most massive takeaway from this game. And the most important thing was exactly what you just said, which is like, hey, we now, who knows, the playoff picture could get crazy or whatever. We've got a game against Vanderbilt next week, but for all intents and purposes, we're out of the playoff picture, but the Florida game still means something.
Yes.
And yes, it was absolutely massive for Heupel to get these guys up for this game, for Tim Banks to get his defense up for this game, and for them to be hitting as hard as they were. That's what I want to see, man. Because you talked about it in the preview. The Florida players know how important this game is,
Yeah.
even despite the fact that they have dominated the rivalry over the past decade and a half because of the incompetency of former administrators at UT.
Well, they even dominated Phil Former, Blake. Florida's always had our number, man.
I wouldn't say dominated. It wasn't the domination of an 11-year
No,
streak.
you're right. You're right. You're right. Because we got over on them as well. But
yes, but yeah, to your point, it's like yes, like you have to be able to get your players up for this game, and for the Alabama game, and so it was great to see that Heupel did that. Absolutely massive. I'm gonna catch up on the chat real quick here, Austin. It was all of a sudden off to the races. So welcome everyone. If you're just joining us, if you're a longtime listener, if you're a new listener, welcome to the Vol Talk podcast. We've got Herb in the chat. Welcome, Herb. He's calling out the Up and Over by Bishop. It was absolutely awesome.
Love it.
We got Vol Don't Lie. It says it's a good day to be a Vol, ain't it, boys? Sure is. Vol Don't Lie. Sure is indeed. And Vol Don't Lie talking about Joey Aguilar being him. 35 straight starts with at least 200 yards passing. We're going to be talking, Vol Don't Lie, about Joey Aguilar and what this game means for his legacy as a Vol. And then to the point brought up by Just Josh and you, welcome Just Josh and you. We are going to talk briefly about the fact that, yes, Aguilar has entered the lawsuit to try to get another year of eligibility. We've got Micah in the chat here talking about how good it felt to be up 28-0 in our first 4 possessions.
God,
Absolutely,
felt
Micah.
so
That
good.
was great.
Felt so
So
good,
good.
man.
Finally felt a game that felt good, Austin, for the first time. And look, Florida's not a good team, but we're much more
Dude,
talented
it
than
doesn't matter.
Arkansas, than Mississippi State,
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
and
Exactly.
the swamp monkey has been on our back, but we were able to come out and dominate quickly, like we've talked about all season long,
Yes,
Austin,
dude.
and that's absolutely huge.
And the reality is, dude, yes, Florida's not a good team. That's correct. But it's so hard to win on the road in the SEC, Blake. It doesn't matter where you play. And we know
Yep.
as Tennessee fans, dude, it's the freaking swamp. I mean, if y'all are just joining, Blake shouted out a stat earlier. This is our 6th ever win in this venue, Blake. 6th ever. And think about all the great teams that Philip Former had in the 1990s. I mean, we know Peyton Manning never got over on Florida. It's like this game, it doesn't matter what their freaking record is, dude. Throw the record out the window. I mean, dude, I remember the stretch from 2014 to 2017. We got 1 win in there, but those 3 out of 4 of those games, man, 2 1-point losses, and the third loss in 2017 was a last second Hail Mary by Florida. Like, it's just been heartbreaking this series, dude. It's been heartbreak. And Heupel hasn't got over on the swamp despite or got over in the swamp despite being like 2 touchdown favorites last time we played there. It means something. It doesn't matter what Florida's record is. And dude, I gotta Blake, if you don't mind, we gotta talk about Deshaun Bishop because somebody shout him out in the chat.
Yes, absolutely.
Deshaun Bishop is phenomenal, man. And I haven't brought this up in a while. I like to bring it up though because his story is awesome, dude. I mean, it's a local kid, 3-star. And Blake, I told Dakota last night, we were watching the game together. I told him last night, Deshaun Bishop is the classic. He's just a good football player. Like, he's not the best athlete, he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, he's not the fastest, but he's just good. He just finds a way, man. Like a guy that really, I mean, if when you're a 3-star out of high school, people don't really believe in you, dude. They don't believe that you can start in the SEC, Blake, at Tennessee.
Right.
But he comes here, he takes over after Dylan Sampson, by the way, who we all know is a Tennessee legend. Like, that's
Goat.
big
Yeah.
shoes to fill, man. Big shoes to fill, and he has filled them so well. I mean, he's been resilient this year, durable. Like, how many times? Multiple times this year, Blake, I thought Deshaun was going to be hurt for multiple games because he's getting up, he's limping. Even in this game,
Right.
he comes out with a little ankle thing, goes back in, keeps running hard. It's a phenomenal season for him. And this is, I mean, it's just like we're going to talk about Aguilar's legacy and Heupel's legacy later a little bit with this game because I think it means something. But how about Deshaun Bishop, man? In a game like
Yes.
this, I mean, you could argue outside of the O line, he's the big reason we just broke this streak that has plagued us. So yeah, Deshaun was phenomenal, man.
Yeah, I love the run game. I love that old school kind of mentality. And Deshaun Bishop, man, he was smashing him in the mouth last night. And yeah, that up and over in the end
So
zone was
good, dude.
incredible.
So good. It was
So
kind of
good.
unnecessary too, by the way. We got great push on that. He could have just ran right up the middle and just like kept his head down. But I love it, dude. Go up and over, and he made it look awesome,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, for sure. And Vol Don't Lie is saying in the chat, he says a good point, talking about, hey, that Carnes boy, it's, is the real deal. The team means more to him.
It does.
And that's what we want, man. We want people who know what the power team means and know what this Florida rivalry means, bro.
Yes. I want 100 Deshaun Bishops on my team. Give me 100 Deshaun Bishop and Joey Aguilar type players, dude. I will go to war with those dudes any day over a guy like Nico or Boo Carter. And yeah, we're taking shots today. We're taking shots. I think it means something to those guys. Like, you think Nico was going to play hard in a game like this? You think Boo Carter? They're too worried about their own legacy. They're too worried about themselves and what it means for them. Deshaun Bishop was playing for the Power T last night, man. He was playing for the Power T, bro. And I love that kind of performance. It's a legacy performance. performance, dude. It is. It's one of those things. Deshaun Bishop may never be a starter in the NFL. He might not get a shot in the NFL. I don't really know. But dude, us Vols fans, the ones who witnessed this, some of the kids, dude, there's kids younger than us, Blake, that weren't even alive since the last time we won in Gainesville. They will remember Deshaun Bishop's performance last night.
Absolutely. And yeah, what an we're like you said, we're going to talk about Heupel's legacy, Joey Aguilar's legacy. Someone pointed out in the chat, I believe it was Vol Don't Lie, that Aguilar's the first QB since Casey Clausen, my favorite.
Yes,
You know
sir.
me. First QB since Casey Clausen to win in the swamp, so it's a big deal. That's true. But yeah, we gotta. I mean, Deshaun Bishop is the first running back to win in the swamp. Since we did it in 2003.
Yeah.
So
It's another way to put it.
and
It's another way to
yeah,
put
yeah,
it.
we gotta give him some praise. Wesley in the chat, welcome Wesley. Herb talking about that first drive, probably the best drive execution and play calling of the year. Austin, I think we'll talk about that. I think the execution was great last night. And now a few people talking about how yes, Heupel did take his foot off the gas in the second half.
Yeah.
And I was texting you all night, brother. Again, folks, I'm in a different time zone right now. I was up at 2:30 in the morning with my mind racing, ready for the game. And so, and I was texting Austin, couldn't go back to sleep, and watching the game, listening to the game, and I just kept texting Austin, man, I'll run up this score. I want to win by 60. I want to win by 60. But someone pointed out in the chat, I think it was Wesley. I get it. It's we got to be healthy as we head into Vandy week. But man, I was hoping to run it up, Austin.
I will say I get where people are coming from. Now, we only got 3 possessions in the second half, one of which we ran out the clock. I mean, we could have scored on that drive. Y'all know that. I will say though, like, I think if we score on that last drive, a brawl probably breaks out. Like that would have been seen as pretty disrespectful. However, how many times did Spurrier run it up on us? I mean, how many times? That dude never let his foot off the gas, dude, ever against Tennessee. So I wouldn't have minded it at all, dude. I would not have minded it at all because we could have probably scored at least 50 last night.
We could have scored 50 if we kept the foot on the gas. Even heading into halftime, Austin, when we kicked that field goal right before half, probably could have scored a touchdown there. And yeah, dude, like it's Florida's never respected us.
Never.
Freaking, even when they had the bozos at head coach, like freaking Muschamp and the rest of them, they disrespected us all the time. So. I wanted to see it, and I know other Vols fans wanted to see it, and so yes, we were a little frustrated by that. But Austin, at the end of the day, you can't complain about tying the largest margin of victory ever in the swamp.
No.
And like you said, winning on the road in the SEC is difficult, regardless of because as bad as Florida has been this year, they still have SEC caliber talent.
No, and they've played tough too. They also played Georgia tough. A couple things. Somebody shouted out the play calling and the play design on the first drive. I totally agree. That play to Ethan Davis was phenomenal. Basically leaked him out of the backfield on a fake counter play, worked to perfection. Heupel's run that play actually several times throughout his career. I remember the first time I remember him doing it was Jalen Hyatt in 2022 Missouri. And he actually ran that several times to Ethan Davis. I will say, just to get into the Ethan Davis discussion, because I got a lot of things to say about him. First of all, he was phenomenal last night. Second of all, I think he has to be the guy going forward. I mean, we still have at least 2 games left this year. And the Vanderbilt game is a meaningful game next week. We all know that's probably a play-in game for Vandy. So, and we'll talk about that on Tuesday, but they are going to be very motivated. So I really feel like Ethan Davis should take over the tight end duties. Let's just be real. Kitzelman has been very disappointing this year. A lot of downs for him, a lot of drops. And Ethan Davis, dude, what I noticed last night, Blake, he was dealing with injury to start the year, right? And in the middle of the year, I think he's finally in shape because I've always wondered, I was like, Ethan Davis should be faster. Like he feels like he should be faster. And he never really was. I think he's slimming down. I noticed last night, I was like, man, he's a little slimmer. He looks faster. I think he's in playing shape for maybe the first time since he's been here, Blake. And I think he could break out next year. I think he has that possibility of finally having that breakout season next year, and even at the end of this year, because he's been really good the last couple of weeks.
He certainly looked pretty quick on that kind of tightrope run into the end zone on our first touchdown when he scored that that touchdown there, kind of along the sideline. Was looking pretty quick. He got a nice block, but yeah, he's definitely looking like a good tight end to fill that TE1 slot for sure. I got some folks talking in the chat here. First of all, shout out to Lamones Jr. Welcome, Lamones. Glad to see you back, buddy. And we got Micah in the chat, who actually went to Carnes High School with
Sweet.
with Deshaun Bishop. He's and talking about how Bishop was the reason that they went to the playoffs back to back.
No doubt, dude.
Austin, we actually went to church with some folks from Carnes as well, who were at Carnes, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, at the same time that he was playing.
He was, yep.
And played on the team with him. So yeah, you love to see local guys. Like you said, they know the history and what it means.
And he's a great
to
person,
be a ball,
man. He's just a great
and he's a good person.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I said,
And
I want to
that's
go
what
to
you want,
war with a guy like that, man.
Yeah, exactly. Same with people like Joey Aguilar, right? The humble guys, the guys who are putting in the work for sure. So huge shout out to Deshaun Bishop. No doubt. Thank you all again for jumping in the chat. Continue to let us know what you thought about the win last night. Let us know any questions that you might have. We got Lynn in the chat. Welcome, Lynn, longtime listener of the Vol Talk podcast. And since Lynn is in here, Austin, real quick, I got to shout out. We asked for score predictions in the preview shows, and I would like to start giving a shout out to the folks who got closest in their score predictions.
I like it.
When we do the reviews. And I don't know if Blake G. Fellers is in the chat. Blake is a longtime Spotify listener. He's one of our little Spotify guys. He was the closest, predicted 28-14. And so that was a nice prediction. Lynn was the next closest, 35-14. And Austin, you mentioned if Lynn had been correct, that would have broken the record for the largest margin of victory in the swamp. So would have liked to see that, but nice prediction there, Lynn. And we got Dakota all day ginger in the chat.
We got Max Gilbert discussions going on in the chat right now.
Oh dear, it might be too early for Max Gilbert discussions. We're gonna have to talk about it eventually.
We gotta get through the rest of the positives. But yeah, I mean,
exactly.
I'm sick of Max Gilbert. I think everybody is. That's the bottom line. But dude, so one thing I want to talk about from the game last night, though. Yes, David Sanders. Okay, David Sanders. He went out for a couple plays. Let me just say, keep that boy healthy, because his backup looked bad. I mean, I'll just say his backup missed 2 blocks in a row in the run game. And listen, it's tough to come in the swamp, not know you're going to play. But man, David Sanders, first of all, he's really good. Obviously young, but when he went out, dude, his backup looked rough. So I want David Sanders to stay healthy the rest of the year. Speaking of the youth, dude, this is a discussion we'll have once the season's over, but I'm just thinking last night, dude, like, we have a lot of young talent that we need to retain this offseason, Blake. A lot of guys that are young, really good, have really bright futures. It is so critical that we keep all of these guys and don't let any of them hit the portal. I mean, I just mentioned David Sanders. Ty Redmond's another guy that I'm looking at. He had a great game yesterday. A couple just really sticky man coverage plays, Blake. And yeah, dude, there's just a ton of young talent all over this team. We need to find a way to bring all these guys back, because Jesse Perry, another guy, he had the highest pass blocking grade from the game last night, according to PFF. All these guys are either redshirt freshmen, true freshmen. Like, this team, dude, going forward could be really, really good. We just need to make sure we keep them all.
That is one thing that we talked about early on in the season preview, that this is a relatively young team. Yep. And so, yeah, we gotta find a way to keep the talent. All don't lie, shouting out Ty Redmond like you just did. Absolutely. David Sanders, man, yeah, he's a beast. Got to keep him. And Vol Don't Lie also shouting out the O line and how they played lights out. And Austin, maybe that's a good segue to, one of the big kind of takeaways from the game was, in the preview, we kind of talked about, you specifically talked about, hey, who's going to win the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball? And ultimately we dominated the line of
We
scrimmage
did.
in this game, and that's ultimately what led to this victory.
I feel like it's the first complete performance. It's the performance I've been begging for all year long. And funny enough, dude, we didn't even have to do it with explosive pass plays. It was really the first time all year that we didn't have to attack downfield and hit those explosive plays to put up points because we were just kept drives alive. We kept converting on third downs. I mean, if you look at the third down numbers, we're 9 for 13 on third down. And more importantly, Florida was 2 for 9. I mean, that has to be our
Mm-hmm.
best defensive third down performance all season, dude. I don't even think it's close. Like it's just
Has to
it's
be.
literally, and I don't even know what the numbers are. I'm just going purely based on what I when I watch the games. Like
Yeah.
when I watch the
Yeah.
games, I just assume no matter what the down and distance is, we're giving up a first down. And Blake, how about this? Because we've talked all year about how, oh man, when they get us in 3rd and 15, that's right where they want us. Uh, how about us converting a 3rd and 17 on a run play?
Love it.
This is
Love it.
another example of everything going our way last night. And listen, Sar Thomas made a great play. He earned the play, but it's one of those things, dude. It's like I'm used to the other team breaking off 3rd and 17 runs to get a first down. It was finally us for a change. And then we avoided the disaster of the touchback. He fumbled the ball and then like recovered it. So he was down by contact at that point, but he almost fumbled it out of the back of the end zone, would have given Florida the ball back, man. It's just like the ball finally bounced Tennessee's way last night. We were the better team, and that's ultimately, I think, how it ends up the margin that it did.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up because, man, BVS, battered Vol syndrome, is a real thing. And part of BVS, part of the decade and a half of dysfunction was, yes, we had terrible administrators that hired terrible ADs and terrible coaches. But Austin, in the midst of that, it felt like, not even felt like, objectively speaking, we just always
Yeah.
got unlucky.
Yes.
Just always.
It's not a
got
feeling. You're right.
unlucky.
It's objective.
It's object. I mean, for crying out loud, Austin, it kind of started with the North Carolina bowl game where they literally had to change the rule or
Dude.
solidify the rule because we got screwed by it. I mean, it's just we have had that bad luck for so long, and now Austin, also of course our luck still is kind of bad luck is still kind of in there because the tide changes right as we're losing Florida as a yearly opponent.
I know.
But this
I know.
game seemed to be indicative of like, man, finally Florida is on that end of the terrible luck, and we are finally getting the luck back.
But dude, it feels good that we got the last one. Like we will play them
Yes,
again.
yes,
And those games, now
yes.
I really feel like once they're biannually, dude, they're gonna be huge. Like because we haven't seen them in 2 years, and every
Mhm.
4 years we'll get them in Neyland. I think it's gonna add a little bit to the game, I think, just because it's not gonna happen as much. But dude, it's nice to end the long annual tradition of playing them on a 2-game winning streak. Like we got the
Love it.
last laugh, dude. We got the last laugh, which I absolutely do love. But dude, going back to it for the younger fans who don't know, or the older fans that I've tried to burn it out of their memory, you're 100% correct. It starts with that North Carolina play, but how about 13 men on the field against LSU? How about
Yep,
Pig
yep.
Howard against Georgia? How about the 3 games I mentioned against Florida, Blake? The missed kick
Florida,
to
yep.
lose by 1. The remember when
Hail
Butch
Mary.
Jones decided not to go for 2 and decided to get up by 13 instead, and we end up losing by 1 because Florida goes on to score 2 touchdowns with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter to blow that game. That's how bad Butch
Yep.
Jones was for the young kids out there. He could have went for 2 and got up by 14. He decided not to. He decided to kick the PAT, and we lose by 1 point because he was a complete idiot. But that's how things have gone. And then you mentioned the Hail Mary, Blake. It is so many examples of Tennessee over the years finding insane, improbable ways to lose games. And even this year, man, where we're sitting here watching this team, we say week after week, man, we got talent. Look what Aguilar's doing. Look how much Aguilar's better than Nico was last year. Look how much the receiving core improved. Look at the offensive line play and look how well they're pass blocking. Or how about the defense? Look at the corners. Look at the edge rushers. Um, but we have found ways to lose these games. And we don't have to get into all the negative, but like it's nice to finally put together a complete performance, man. Finally, they do it this year. And it just felt good, man. It felt good. This is the first game in my life I can remember. Blake, probably in your life too, because all those games in the 90s were still stressful. This is the first non-stress Florida game in a long time. I think we
Yes.
won 45-3 in the early 2000s. But outside of that one, it's like, dude, they're all stressful. We're either getting our ass beat or we're winning close.
Brother, it's the only non-stressful SEC game in general this
Literally.
year. I
Literally.
mean, we haven't had a breathe easy SEC game all year. And so, man, it definitely feels good to be on that end of it because, man, it's just, we got to talk about all the negative even when we win, but it's close and you should blow out a team like Arkansas, but then you got to win close or you got to go to overtime with, Mississippi State or whatever. And so, man, it's just this is how it should be. This is how it
Yes.
should be. And so it is absolutely feels great to end the yearly rivalry with a 2-game win streak against Florida, trending in the right direction for sure. Shout out to Baba, aka Rick. Rick is back in the chat. Welcome, Rick. Wesley Mills Smith, when we were talking about keeping talent, young talent, he's talking about Wesley's talking about, hey, it's a new world, NIL retention. So yeah, we got to keep these guys
That's
to keep this
exactly
going.
correct.
So yeah. So
Um,
go ahead, Austin. Yeah, let's
cu-
talk through the rest of the game and what else.
Just a couple more quick shout outs to some of the defensive guys because I mean, dude, this is the first time I can be proud of our defense all season. I mean, it's just,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
slim pickings on defense this year, dude. Slim pickings as far as good moments are concerned. And it's been a lot of bad. So this was finally a great performance, and it wasn't a fluky performance. Blake, if you think back to all our reviews, think about the good defensive performances. They are always like strip sack fumble for a touchdown or batted pick sixes. Like
Mm-hmm.
those things aren't sustainable. There's a reason you can't just draw up, hey boys, let's go get a batted interception for a touchdown here. Like you can't draw that up. But this was the first defensive performance where you can step back and say, wow, you actually played well. Like you actually just played well. You got off the field on third downs and you were consistent. Tyree West made a couple huge plays in the run game, blew up a couple run plays. And then specifically, I want to talk about this play because it was phenomenal. Goes back to just the defense flying around and hitting hard all game. Jordan Ross, okay, there's a play where DJ Lagway drops back. He evades a sack, right? He evades a sack. Jordan Ross is dropping into coverage. It looks like Lagway's about to run for a first down. This was on third down, by the way. Looks like he's about to run for a first down. Jordan Ross dropping back in coverage, spies Lagway, comes up and just puts a lick on him, man. Puts a lick on him. I'm just right then I knew, okay, these boys are playing different today. These boys are playing different today. This is a
Love it.
different kind of energy. Like we're not worried about flags. I texted you, dude. I was like, I knew the defense was hitting hard last night. When I felt like multiple hits, I was worried about a flag afterwards. Not that one should have been thrown, but just today's age of football, you just never know. I mean, you see a
Right.
big hit on a quarterback, you never know when they're going to throw a flag or not. There were multiple hits like that in the game, dude. It just felt good, man. It felt good because this is the first time I felt this way all year long.
Man, it feels really good. And yes, absolutely. I don't give a dang about any of those flags. Put them in the dirt for sure. And so, yeah, and we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about a little bit more about the kind of the history of the rivalry in particular. But Dakota, All Day Ginger jumped in the chat and, kind of gave us a few more examples of just the unluckiness of Tennessee. Oklahoma 2015 blowing the lead in the fourth quarter. He said the 5 fumbles and OT, INT. If I'm not mistaken, Austin, it was actually 7 total turnovers
Turnovers against
against Texas
A&M.
A&M. Texas A&M in 2016, which we would have potentially. We were undefeated by that point, and that would have made us undefeated going into the Alabama game. And so, yeah, just those kinds of things. We're going to talk a little bit more about that when we talk about the legacy of this game and the legacy for Heupel and Aguilar and all of that. So we'll circle back to that. But Austin, a couple of people, Wesley and Rick, both in the chat talking about that 45-3 win that you're talking about against the Gators. Rick saying it's his favorite game since 1990, 45-3, and Wesley was at that game. So, man. Yes, it just feels good, Austin. It's just all around feels good. What else about the game, brother? Kind of
just a shout out to
how it
people in
went.
the chat about the 1990 game, Blake, and I'll tease our discussion later. Some of the research I did on this game after our preview show. I should have done it before the preview show, but I did this after. I'm going to bring on the review. But in 1990, that was one of the years we prevented Florida from going to the national championship, dude. That 45-3. Had they won that game, they would have ended up going on to play for the national championship. Or, back in those days, they didn't actually have a national championship, so we just had to pretend like whoever the AP poll ranks number 1 is the national champion. But yeah, man. I mean, that's how much the game means. So yeah, that's to my point, man. Like, we haven't had a stress-free Florida game since 1990. Blake, you weren't even on this earth yet in 1990.
I wasn't on the earth
yet. Having a stress-free game against Florida, enjoy it, people. Enjoy it. I get it. Everyone's upset because we didn't score 60. I understand it, but let's sit back and just enjoy this one, man, because we don't get this. Like, we just don't get this as Tennessee fans. It really doesn't matter what. Throw the records out. Like I say, always throw the records out in this game. I don't care how bad Florida is. I don't care who's coaching them. This one means something. It means a lot, and just enjoy it because it's literally never happened like this.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. It's any given Saturday when it comes to a rivalry like Tennessee, Florida, and so you have to bring the heat. And one thing I want to talk about when we talk about Heupel and what this means for him is, again, circling back to the fact that the players were ready for it and they were playing different. They were playing like a team possessed, and that's what you want to see. And so, yes, enjoy it for sure. I was one of those who wanted to score 60. But as some folks said at the top of the show, hey, look, we gotta go beat Vanderbilt because we can't let them think that there's something all of a sudden. Okay, look, Florida's a rivalry because we trade licks with them. It's a given at the University of Tennessee that you beat the University of Vanderbilt. Okay, or Vanderbilt University, excuse me. So yeah, we gotta be healthy for the Vanderbilt game. But yeah, chat's continuing here. Rick saying he wasn't at the game, but was playing a band at UT frat house that night. Hey Rick, I bet that was a fun party afterwards, beating Florida 45-3. So definitely is a good victory. Austin, any other takeaways from the game? Kind of headlines or highlights that you want to call out from the game?
No, man. I'm ready to get into the high level legacy stuff if you want to talk about it.
Let's do it. Let's segue into that for sure, because this is what I'm most excited to talk about. Because look, we talked about on the preview. First and foremost, we already kind of got it out of the way. Tim Banks, if he came in and made this terrible Florida offense look good all of a sudden, we're going to have an issue. It was going to be, hey, we got to have this conversation. But he didn't. He played the best defensive performance of the year. So that was great to see. Because really, Austin, that touchdown they scored and then the 2-point conversion, I would kind of consider it garbage time.
It was definitely garbage
even though
time.
I think
the game was over.
The game was completely over.
Dude,
right?
they took a pity field goal at the
left,
end of the third quarter. It was 31-0. They were going to go for it on 4th and 8, and they took a pity field goal because they wanted to avoid the shutout. which is kind of pathetic.
Yeah,
I'll be honest.
exactly.
That was a little pathetic. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, it was definitely a garbage time touchdown without question.
Yes. Yes, and I love the point real quick in the chat that Micah made. Micah says, "Now we get a chance to keep Florida from, or I'm sorry, Vanderbilt from making the playoffs, just like we did to Florida, keeping them from a national championship in
Yes,
1990." So I
I
love that parallel.
absolutely love it.
Love it. But yeah, so okay, so Tim Banks got that out of the way. Okay, good job, Tim Banks. You did your job. But
For the
Heupel.
first
Now,
time this year.
Austin, for the first time this year. We had a controversial clip, okay, on this channel where we talked about how we are the long story short is we didn't like the media telling us that, hey, look, because you used to have Jeremy Pruitt and Derek Dooley as your coach, you should be happy with 8 or 9 wins on the year, even if you don't make the playoffs, if you lose big games. You should be happy with that because look where you used to be. And Austin, I made the point to you after that clip that we don't like that mentality because of this. This is the best way to put it. The media treats Josh Heupel as the anomaly in Tennessee history instead of treating Jeremy Pruitt and Derek Dooley and Butch Jones as the anomaly. When in fact, that decade and a half of incompetence was the anomaly in Tennessee history, right? And so we are back to where we should be. And Austin, so we talked about that, and we talked about how we wanted Heupel to get better at a few things. And one of those intangible things, Austin, was getting his team up for a meaningful game, for games in general, motivating them,
Yes.
right? And if you're going to motivate your team for any game, it's got to be Bama and it's got to be Florida, brother.
Yes.
And so the first thing to me that stood out was, hey, Heupel, thank you. Yes. And let me be clear too, just we never called for changing the head coach.
No.
We love Heupel. We want Heupel to stay here, but that was one of the things, Austin. We said, hey, Heupel needs to get better at, and boom, this team comes
Immediately.
out and lays a lick on
I
freaking Florida in the swamp.
It's a great point, dude. It's a great point. Holly Rowe, after the game, interviewed Heupel and said, basically revealed that Heupel showed the team a video during the week on what this rivalry means and what this game means. And I don't know if he's done that every year. He may have. I'm not sure. But again, at the end of the day, you could tell a difference. You could tell a difference. Even comparing it to the wins versus Florida in the past, you could finally tell a difference. Okay, we are playing like it's Tennessee, Florida. And just to put some context behind it, Blake, because I did a deep dive on what this game really used to mean. Because I said in the preview, I was like, man, this game used to determine the national championship. And so I was like, let me put
Yep.
some numbers behind like why I say that. It's a fact. It is an absolute fact that this game used to prevent a team going to the national championship or be the reason you win. So Blake, I'll start with the bad and then I'll get into the good because we got our licks in too. Okay, we got our licks in too. Years Florida stopped Tennessee from the Natty. Okay, there's four seasons. This is unbelievable. 1985, 1993, 95, and 97. Okay, and a lot of people are always like, "Oh, it's the Peyton years." Two of those are not the Peyton years. Two of those are not Peyton Manning. In those 4 years, Blake, that was Tennessee's only regular season loss.
Yep.
Only regular season loss was to the Florida Gators in 4 freaking seasons. Like we're talking about
That includes
plus
Bama, by the way.
it
Georgia.
includes Bama. That is correct. We're talking about +4 national championships here, people. +4. And I
Yeah,
know in
4. Yeah.
'97 we played Nebraska, and that could have put us in the number one of the AP poll. But my point is, it's like we're talking about 4 undefeated regular seasons stopped by the Florida Gators. And you're thinking, wow, well, they really got over on us. Hold on. I'm not done yet because there was 3 seasons where Tennessee prevented Florida from playing for the national championship. I already mentioned 1990 where we beat the hell out of Florida 45-3. Of course, we got 98. Had we not beat them in 98, Florida would have been the ones playing for the Natty. And then in 2001, Blake, Florida was undefeated going into that 2001 game, and no one thought we had a chance, by the way. 17-point underdogs in 2001 when Casey Clausen went into the swamp and prevented Florida from another national championship. And yes, they would have went on to win it. They had freaking Steve Spurrier. Of course they would have went on to win it. And Blake, just another thing. That's, I mean, by the way, if you're counting at home, that's 7 years where Tennessee and Florida from 1985 to 2001 determined who was at the pinnacle of college football. 7 seasons. Go find me another rivalry like that. You will bring me the only rivalry that compares to that is Michigan Ohio State. That is the only other rivalry in college football that you can bring me that had determined the national champion in this sport. Period. Point blank. Blake, also Tennessee had 3 years where Florida was only one of 2 losses in the regular season. So, I mean, if you're tracking at home, that's 10-1 seasons, 11-1 seasons if it weren't for the Florida Gators. This game meant so freaking much for about 15 to 16 years, dude. This game was everything. I mean, 7 years where the national champion was determined in Tennessee, Florida. I mean, I just can't overstate how incredible that is.
And I'm so glad that you brought this this historical perspective, Austin. You know me, I love the history behind our program. You mentioned how I wasn't on this earth in 1990. You weren't on this earth either. You certainly weren't on this earth in 1990. But we know the history of this game, what it means. I grew up, brother, thinking, that like the earliest memories I have as a Vol fan and as a just a football watching kid are the Tennessee Florida games.
Yes.
Pandemonium reigns, calls like that, incredible just moments in our program's history. The 2001 game you shouted out, and what an incredible pregame speech Philip Fulmer had. That was the year that the game was delayed because of 9/11. Rick was talking about in the chat, it was our second or third game of the season when we had divisions in the SEC. And yeah, Florida, recently moved to later in the year. They were early in the year. So it was in September in 2001, moved to later because of 9/11. And we went in there, like you said, no one gave us a chance and we won. And so, yeah, man, just absolutely incredible rivalry. And so going back to Heupel, it is incredible. And speaking of Fulmer's pregame speech in 2001, that's the kind of motivation we have needed because you have got to be able to get up for a game like this, man. And then when you are the clearly more talented team, go into their house and beat the brakes off of them.
Exactly.
Do it.
Exactly. And he did it, man. And we have to give this is a credit Heupel day. I talked about to you before the show, Blake. I think this is a top 5 win for Heupel in his career here. I really do. I'll just shout out another game because we're talking about what this game means. 2006, Blake, we lost 21-20. Florida went on to win a national championship that year. So that's another year. And we lost that game, but a 1-point loss, we could have prevented Florida and Urban Meyer that. Oh yeah, by the way, forgot to mention how amazing was it? We never beat Urban Meyer, by the way. Never beat him when he was the Florida head coach. How incredible was it that he got a front row seat to this ass whipping, dude? Just absolutely love it. Because, like, we finally got over on Saban in 22, right? And that meant so much because we broke the streak. But specifically, you did it against Saban. You didn't do it against DeBozo. Like, you actually did it against the guy. This feels like we got over on Urban. It really does. He might not have been the coach, but he was getting honored at the game. He got a front row seat. Absolutely love it, dude. That Urban Meyer got the best seat in the house to see this. Felt really good. But, I mean, dude, this does mean so much for Heupel. Like, it does. It really does, dude. And we've been critical. We have been critical. And the thing is with our criticism, though, Blake, we've also brought up legitimate solutions. And one of the things was, like you mentioned, dude, you have to get your players ready for a game like this, despite you not reaching the goals that your team knows. Okay, they know they could have been in the playoffs this year. They do. Like we're fans at home and we're smart enough to see it. They for sure know as a team that they could have reached higher and bigger aspirations this year. But despite that, you still got them ready to play in this game. And Florida had nothing to lose, by the way, Blake. They had nothing to lose.
Right.
And that's a dangerous team, bro. That is a dangerous team. When you have nothing to lose, like that coach's job's not on the line. He's an interim coach. I mean, like,
He's just gonna lay it all out on the line.
exactly, dude. That's what I'm saying. So, yes, dude, it is a massive deal for Heupel, and I think this is a top 5 win for him in his career here.
Yeah, all day Ginger pointing out in the chat, hey, Heupel's finishing 3-2 against Florida in the rival era where we played them every year, and so that's big because you do want to have a winning record against Florida because they're our rival, and the game means something, and so and this is part of what makes us say, hey, look, yes, we want to talk about here's some areas and specific ways that Heupel can improve because it's the truth, Austin. He can improve. He is not at an elite tier of coaching yet, and we want to, as much as we want to beat Florida and Alabama, I want to win national championships and SEC championships, right?
Or at least be in the playoff.
Or be in the position to be able to do it, right? And so so that's ultimately what we want. But man, this is why it's like, man, I love Heupel. I'm so thankful for him because yes, we are back to where we should be, where hopefully we can now take the next step of, okay, hey, now we're in the playoff conversation every year in and year out, and all that good stuff. We can take that next step. But the first step, Austin, was getting the Alabama monkey off our back, was getting the Florida monkey off our back, was getting the swamp monkey off our back. And then hopefully, Austin, in a couple of years, we'll get that Bryant Denny monkey, that final monkey off the back.
And Georgia.
We do need to get the Georgia monkey off our back as well. Because we're also used to beating Georgia at the University of Tennessee. Just gonna throw that out there.
But I agree, dude. I mean, this really feels like, I know Heupel's 2022 Florida win was big because we hadn't won since 16, but this feels like the true Florida monkey, doesn't it? Like this feels like the real one because it's like this. I said this on the preview, Blake. When I was growing up and I was learning about college football, I learned a couple of things about stadiums. Death Valley and the Swamp. That's two of the hardest places to play. And I don't care if they're 0-10. Winning here is so important, man. And listen, it has to be said that Heupel also hadn't been able to win here. But this game was different. And there's still, listen, I think there's still things that we can get better at. And like this year, I'm not going to just magically forget that we could be in the playoffs. Thanks, Max Gilbert. I'm not going to magically forget that. But it's like, it still means so much, dude. And like, and even talking the beginning of the year, Blake, we're talking like, okay, 10-2, 9-3 area range. And that hasn't happened yet. We still have to beat Vanderbilt. But one of those potential losses was this game. It was this game that we had circled. Yeah. And we got one, dude. We got a memorable moment this year, which I'm really happy about.
Got to be happy about it. Again, doesn't matter how bad the Florida team is. You got to be happy about it. Because yes, it is a game that we can lose any given year. And so we did have it circled. And yeah, you gotta, it's tough because you got to think, man, if Max Gilbert hits that field goal, then all of a sudden this is the kind of momentum game that you head into Vanderbilt week where it's like, okay, now you're gonna thrash Vanderbilt the next week because of course you're gonna do that, right? And then you're in the playoff, and you might even be in a pretty good, seed, given the fact that the playoff picture is pretty murky as it is. So it hurts, but man, it feels better because we got this dub, Austin. So let's talk about hey, yes, huge game for Heupel, but the fireman, brother. Now the band director. Someone shouted out earlier in the chat. Dude. I think it was Walden Light. The band director, Joey Aguilar, directed the band in Rocky Top down in Gainesville for, again, the first time in 22 years since the great Casey Clausen in 01 and 03. Man, what a special moment for him, dude.
it was really special, dude. It was reminiscent of 22 LSU. We literally drained the swamp, by the way, for the first time ever, by the way, by the fourth quarter. First time ever there was no one left in that stadium that was Florida fans. And at the end of the game, it was literally just the Tennessee faithful, man. It was the Tennessee faithful that traveled there, and Joey leads the band while the fans are singing Rocky Top in the background. It was a special moment, man. And I think it was special because, I mean, for one, as a Tennessee fan, you love to see it. But in Joey Aguilar's case, where, listen, his story is incredible, and we're going to continue to talk about it. And I'm sure we'll have an off-season video where we really discuss the trade in full. But, dude, UCLA didn't want him. A 3-9 football team told him, no thanks. No thanks. We don't want you. He was going to quit football to be a fireman. He was going to stop playing the game that he loved because he didn't think he had what it took to play at the next level. He goes JUCO, he goes to App State, and somehow he ends up in the mecca of college football, Tennessee, where, I mean, he plays in front of 100,000 fans every weekend, and he showed up. He showed up for the occasion, man. He really did. Let's not forget, he put us in a position to win the Georgia game. He did. And I know there's been some rough moments, like Alabama and the Oklahoma game weren't the best. Those weren't the best. But overall, dude, what this season could have been and what it is because of Aguilar is special, man. It's special. He showed up
Yes.
for the occasion as a guy that was completely unrecruited out of high school, was going to quit football, and it's just a phenomenal kid, dude. He's just a phenomenal kid. So for him to get that moment, which, might be his best moment in call, it might be his best moment playing football, Blake, but that's a special, special moment for him. And it was awesome to see.
Yeah, so massive, so awesome to see because of the story and because of the fact that it was the first person to do it since Casey Clausen, as Daniel Hightower in the chat. Shout out to Daniel.
I love it.
Uh, just shouted out Joey, a shoe in for the Casey Clausen Award. I don't know. So the Casey Clausen Award, man, it's about underappreciated player. I've got plenty of appreciation for Joey Aguilar, man.
But dude,
But
down the
dude,
road, think about it. Down the road, though, like down the
yeah,
road, when
true.
kids are talking about the best Tennessee, when has Casey Clausen's name come up as the best Tennessee quarterback ever, Blake? It just doesn't come up. That name doesn't come up, and it bothers you. It always irks you. Well, I know when you see top 5 lists and he doesn't see Casey Clausen's name on it, it pisses Blake off. It really does. And so that's
Yes.
Aguilar, though, man. Listen, this season's not going to end in a national championship. And for all the losers out there that are saying, well, we need this, this, and this to go to the playoffs, just stop doing it, man. I pledged on this podcast I will never be one of the 9-3 SEC teams that are trying to get into the playoffs. That's a loser thing to do. So don't be that guy. But down the line, dude, we'll think about it. It's like, man, look, remember that season the fireman had? Remember how he almost broke the Georgia streak if it wasn't for his idiot kicker? Remember how he broke the streak in the swamp? Like, I think down the line he will be underappreciated, dude, because again, Blake, he learned the playbook in 2 months. In 2 months' time,
Yes.
he
Yes.
comes in and takes this offense over, was a phenomenal leader and just a phenomenal kid. So it's an awesome story, dude.
Incredible. Now, real quick, I want to say in defense of any of the folks who are trying to do the math to get us into the playoff if we beat Vanderbilt next week, Austin, in their defense, you never know. It's there's always a situation where, who's left if enough people lose. Now, the thing about it is, I think to your point, it's like we unfortunately have shown that we are just not that caliber this year, as much as we would have liked to have been. But yeah, man, like, and think about the story if we do win that Georgia game,
I know.
right?
I
Think about the
know.
story if Joey doesn't throw that pick six against Alabama, and the couple of mistakes we had against Oklahoma. Again, think about that. It's just a couple of those things, right?
I know.
And most of them, or at least some of them, outside of his fault. So yes, this is to us a legacy game for Joey Aguilar. Again, huge props to Deshaun Bishop. This game was won on the back of Deshaun Bishop and Star Thomas, but it's huge for Joey Aguilar being able to lead the band. What a special moment for him and a special moment for us. because again, like you said, we're going to be able to look back and say, "Hey, man, Joey Aguilar and he played great. I mean,
He did.
even though he had one touchdown, he still played great. He started 9 for 9. I mean, it was
And
a really great game for him.
really showed up at avoiding the sacks. He did take the one strip sack that we thankfully recovered, but he did a good job at avoiding sacks. Um, Yeah, and yeah, people are talking about the oh yeah, exactly. Lynn's talking about avoiding Vanderbilt making the playoffs 100%. And that's what we've been talking about this like since we've all been kind of dejected after the Oklahoma game. Like what have we been talking about? We've been like, okay, there's a couple of things, right? For one, you have two rivals coming up and those matter. Those games matter
Yes,
no matter what, especially Florida. But for two, momentum. Momentum in a program matters, dude. And we have a ton of recruiting momentum right
yes,
now. If you're looking at like top 10 list or like top 10 receivers coming into the next class, we have three on that list, which is the most in the country. Like we have a ton of talent coming in. You want to keep the momentum rolling because we want Heupel as our coach. We want him to get better. We want us to take the next step as a program. I think we all want, like, don't we all want to take the next step as a program, or are some of us don't want to? Like, I want to. I want to take the next step. And I think part of that is, Blake, you have to win out. You do. You have to win out.
yep,
That
yep.
momentum matters so much in recruiting. And yeah, to Lynn's point, yes, I want to keep Vanderbilt from the. You think I want a bunch of yappy Vanderbilt fans? And I know it's not many fans. They can't even fill up their stadium when they're about to or potentially could go to the playoffs against Kentucky. They literally can't even sell out the stadium. It's pretty pathetic. I'm not going to lie. But there are a couple. There are a couple Vanderbilt fans, and you think we want them yapping, beating us? Like Vanderbilt does not beat us here at Tennessee. Like that's not even a question. They're having a Cinderella season. I don't care if they're having a Cinderella season. It's Vanderbilt, Blake. Give me a break.
Give me a break, dude. Vanderbilt. I mean, look, Kentucky is a given win year in and year out, right? We just, Kentucky will never be able to, that they want it to be a rivalry. It's tough for them, but at least we enjoy beating Kentucky. We enjoy sending them back to the coal mines, brother. We don't even like Vanderbilt has always been an afterthought. Okay,
Yes.
Vanderbilt has literally always been a end of the season cupcake. Um, Similar to our out of conference games and the no name teams or FCS teams that we play, right? So look, yeah, cool, great. You've got your little Cinderella season, like you talked about. Don't care. I want to see you in your place where you belong, which is, behind us. So yes, we gotta beat them next week, and it does matter, just like the Florida game matters, despite the fact that we may be or we are 99% out of the playoff picture, right? It matters. And so you love to see it from Heupel and you love to see it from Joey. You love to see it from the whole team, brother. Them showing that they knew what this game meant.
I agreed, man. I totally agree with you. And yeah, I mean, like I said, top five win in Heupel's career. I think the only wins I put above it, I really only put the two Alabama wins and maybe the Orange Bowl win above it, man. It's a really big one. And I hope they keep the momentum going. And yeah, I'd hope that we can shut up Vanderbilt and Pavia next week.
So let that be a little teaser, folks. We will be we're about to get into our final segment for the show, but remember that we drop our preview shows on Tuesdays, and so we will be previewing the Vanderbilt game, this last game of the regular season, coming up this Tuesday. And those episodes drop typically around. You've been dropping around what 8 p.m. Eastern, Austin,
Yep.
or 8:30 p.m.
8 p.m.
And so 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. So be looking out for that show for the Vanderbilt preview. But yeah, man, let's get into this last little segment. So we've talked a lot about this Florida win, what it means. Folks, please continue to jump in the chat. We've got a lot of folks in the chat talking about their favorite Florida memories of beating Florida. We've got some folks talking in the chat about their favorite moments from the game, things like that. And so jump in the chat, let us know what you think about the Florida win, and drop in the comments as well what you think. But Austin, this final segment, I'd also love to hear from the good folks about our former quarterback. who is currently sitting at the exact opposite of our record.
That's
We're 8 and
correct.
3. The UCLA Bruins are 3 and 8. And Austin, it's curious. He seems to be having some injury issues all of a sudden. Talk us
Mhm.
through it.
He does. He does. I mean, listen, dude. I had to talk about Nico today because it's so funny. Like the couple UCLA fans that started running their mouths after the 3-game winning streak are, by the way, nowhere to be found at this point. It's pathetic, dude. It's really pathetic because I knew, dude, if you were watching those games, I knew it wasn't going to last. They beat a Penn State team that was completely checked out, and that was a complete fluke. And then the other 2 wins, Nico didn't even play well, man. They were just playing the Big Ten schedule, the Michigan State and the Marylands of the world, which, I would absolutely die to have those teams on my schedule, Blake. He was awful last night, dude. He had 26 completion or 26 attempts for 69 yards, Blake. That's 2.65 yards per attempt. So, in today's football, it's generally accepted, especially in the NFL level. But passing's typically more efficient, right? It's typically more efficient than running the ball. Well, an average running back averages about 4 yards a carry. That means Nico 2.65 yards per attempt is averaging less than what an average running back is running. That is just horribly inefficient against Washington. They got completely annihilated 48-14. And as you said, he left with an injury. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, so I'm looking this up. I'm like, did he get benched? That would make sense. That wouldn't surprise me if he got benched. But by the way, the backup went in and threw a touchdown. Pretty notable. But anyways, he goes to the medical tent, and I'm trying to figure out what's the injury. Like, I'll look into it, man. His coach, when asked about the injury, says, quote, not completely sure. What does that even mean? You're the head coach. How do you not know? Like, you're the coach. So I'm sitting here thinking, is Big Nick in the medical tent? Like, is he doing the event? Like, he's seeing the game from the sidelines. He slips into the medical tent and is like, listen, get my boy out of there. This is embarrassing. I'm not even going to be able to get him at a group of 5 or even a group of 5 next year in the transfer portal, Blake. Like, this is the things that are going through my head because it's like, how do you not know what happened to your starting quarterback? He went in the medical tent and then he's just like vanishes. Then he's just like poof and he's gone. And he's just like back to the team bus and he's already home. Like, it's just some weird things going on at UCLA. If I'm them, like, because obviously everyone in that building is going to be asked to leave kindly and never come back. Like, none of those guys are ever going to be welcome back after this year. If I'm them, I'm starting to smell the roses and realize that, like, I better build up my resume for another job. And to
Yeah.
do so, get that kid out. He needs to be benched, Blake. He is absolutely terrible. And more, our takes at the beginning of the year are just looking better and better. Because I knew when he was throwing pick sixes against Maryland and his team was just squeaking out 20-17 wins. Did you think I changed my mind on Nico? I never changed my mind on Nico. He's always sucked. He will always suck. He sucked at Tennessee. He sucks at UCLA. Nothing's changed. He sucks.
Nothing's changed, and it's funny because it's so officially the injury has to do with a concussion. That's why he was allegedly, that's allegedly why he was out against Ohio State. That's allegedly what he went out with in this game. But as you noted, the head coach would have known that, especially if that's what he was out of the game for last week.
Yeah.
Then the head coach would have known, oh, it's we aggravated the concussion. Um, yeah, what it is, Austin, is, and we saw it a little bit when he was at Tennessee, but we've especially seen it this year. He does this weird, immature, like 12-year-old thing where like you gotta like really play up when you're quote unquote hurt, and you've got to like over dramatize your limp or like over dramatize, what the thing he had on his wrist and or this, that, and the other, and you gotta, all this stuff where you got to make sure everyone knows that you're getting hurt, but look how much of a hero you are. You're out here, laying it out on the line, and you're getting hurt, and boo hoo, and it's just like a weird like thing you do when you're a young boy, and you're like trying to get people to think that you're impressive or something. look how hurt I am. It's a very weird thing. I don't get it, but at the end of the day, it's pretty sad
Yeah.
that the backup comes in and throws a touchdown when you couldn't even throw a touchdown. Um,
Like,
again, like you said, we haven't changed our opinion.
of course
They got a
not.
little bump, but well, because teams, that, and I said this, I think maybe on camera, but at least off camera, Austin, I said to you, hey, I think that teams don't know what to prepare for because all of a sudden the coaching has changed,
Mhm.
and so they've thrown the old playbook out the window. They're gonna rely on Nico's athleticism, right? He might not be a good quarterback. He's athletic, right? He's athletic. He's just not a good quarterback, not a good leader. And so they relied on that. That the playbook was out the window. Teams didn't know what to prepare for, and you saw the result. And but then all of a sudden the body of evidence grew, and it's like, okay, now we're playing better teams. Like you said, they went through a
Yep.
stretch of playing bad teams or checked out teams. But also, teams knew what to prepare for, and now it's back to regularly scheduled programming of Nico
And
pretending to be injured and sucking.
And Blake, they didn't even have good offensive performances against Maryland or Michigan State. It was they
Right,
played
exactly.
Maryland and Michigan State. That's what happened. And it's funny,
Yeah.
dude, because the beginning of the year we're sitting here thinking it's like, yeah, I mean, and we're partly joking a little bit, but we're like 3-9, best case scenario. And then they go on that 3-game winning streak, and we're like, oh no, are they going to get past 3-9? No, turns out they're still going to go 3-9. And that's how bad he's been. And dude, I can't wait for at the end of the year. There's so many fun discussions at the end of the year regarding football. Obviously, we're gonna have a full season breakdown and all that. But then the trade talk, man, the talk of the first de facto trade in college football history and how it played out. And listen, we didn't make the playoffs. We could have. I think we all know we could have made the playoffs if it weren't for an idiot kicker. But at the end of the day, man, it's still so lopsided how that trade went. And it truly saved this season, Blake. It saved this season. I can tell you with full confidence, had Nico been under center last night, we are not talking about this streak
Yep.
being broken. I can tell you that with full confidence.
And that's the thing, right? Like ultimately, we no one is going to know exactly how the season would have gone, had this situation not happened and we had Nico under center. Would he have gotten better? Maybe. Would he have gotten worse? Maybe.
Probably.
Would we have lost receivers? Maybe. But what what the stats show, Joey is playing more difficult competition, more difficult defenses with better stats
Yeah.
than Nico. So the stats are there, and it's just from a leadership perspective, and exactly like you said, going back to tying it into Aguilar's legacy from this game. Yes, Aguilar's made a couple key mistakes against Oklahoma and Alabama, but we just, he can at least lead this football team, lead this offense. And now we're talking about tying the largest margin of victory ever in the swamp, sixth win only, only the sixth win ever in the swamp. And yeah, if Nico's under center, yikes. I don't
Yeah.
know, brother. I don't
I,
know.
I don't know either. I mean, we might not have a single person watching the show right now if Nico was still our quarterback this year, dude. I think I genuinely think like 5-7 would have been our absolute ceiling with him under center. So really thankful for Joey. Thankful Nico and Big Nick decided to hit the road. And yeah, I mean, enjoy FCS football next year, guys. Enjoy it.
Enjoy it indeed. Folks, go and check out our old video. We did have a discussion on where will Nico transfer next. And of course, a lot of people think it'll be the McDonald's drive-through, but a couple hot contenders like Alaska State Community College and Cal Poly. So yeah, what FCS school will take him? I don't know. Maybe they'll take him for the volleyball team. We'll see. Uh, but at the end of the day, we're thankful for the fireman, Joey Aguilar, the band director, and we're thankful for Heupel and this big win. So, Austin, any other kind of final thoughts on anything that we've talked about today?
I'm kind of with Lynn, man. If only we could have thrown Gilbert into that Nico trade. Really? to really hit it home, dude. We might have been having a magical season this year.
Dude, Lynn, you never fail to crack me up, dude, and it's always the most on point points of all time. Yeah, man, that would have been an even sweeter trade if we had gotten a different kicker, traded in Max Gilbert. Bless his heart, man. He can't handle the pressure, brother.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
yeah, he
at the end of the day, his
unfortunately
job
cost
is
us the
kicking,
playoff.
and he's not good at his job. Blake, that's simple as that. He is not good at his job, and his job is to kick, and that's it. And he sucks at it. So
Yeah, at least in terms of missing a 40-yarder and keeping us out of the playoff conversation. So very unfortunate, but folks, it was very fortunate that we had Joey Aguilar, Deshaun Bishop, all of our O line, our receivers, and for the first time this season, the defense last night, because your Tennessee Volunteers win big in Gainesville in the swamp for the first time in 22 years, 31-11, beating the Gators down there in the swamp, draining the swamp, as it were. Feels really good, Austin. This has been a fun episode, being able to talk about that because, yeah, it's definitely something that needs to happen more often, and it's something we desperately needed this season to make us feel good about just about this season in general, and being able to beat your rivals and getting that Florida monkey off our back. So love to see it, folks. Let us know in the chat if you have any final thoughts on the Florida game. Let us know in the comments what your favorite moment was from the game last night. Was it Deshaun Bishop's over the pile touchdown? Was it the kind of toeing the line from Ethan Davis for that touchdown? Was it the defense? Did you like what you saw from the defense? Let us know what you think in the comments. And like we said, folks, we got a big game next week against Vanderbilt to try to keep them out of the playoffs. So we will be previewing the Vanderbilt game this coming Tuesday. That episode will be dropping 8:30 Eastern. So be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you can be notified when that episode is going live. And folks, smash the like button. The Vols won in the freaking swamp, baby. Okay. First time in 22 years since Casey Clausen. Hit the like button. If that doesn't deserve a like, I don't know what the heck does. Austin, it's been a fun episode. We're going to see folks at the Vanderbilt preview. Until then, as always, baby, go freaking Vols.
GBO.